The Jornada del Muerto Desert, New Mexico. The rain has just stopped. The air is thick with the smell of ozone and wet sagebrush. Inside a concrete bunker, a man stands clinging to a wooden post. He is shaking, not from the cold, but from a terror so deep it vibrates in his bones. He is 41 years old. He weighs less than 115 pounds. His skin is translucent, pulled tight over a skeletal frame. He hasn't slept in 3 days. 10 miles away, a gadget named the Gadget sits on top of a steel tower. The countdown begins. 10, 9. This man knows the math. He knows the equations. But in this final second, he isn't thinking about physics. He is thinking about the atmosphere. He is wondering if the calculations were wrong. He is wondering if he is about to ignite the nitrogen in the air and burn the entire atmosphere of Earth. 0. A flash, brighter than 1,000 suns. It bleaches the desert white. It melts the asphalt. It turns the night into a blinding, terrifying day. And in the deafening silence before the shockwave hits, Robert Oppenheimer remembers a line from an ancient Hindu scripture. Now, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. He didn't just build a bomb. He killed the old world. And at that moment, he knew he had blood on his hands that would never, ever wash off. History remembers him as a silhouette. The pork pie hat, the pipe, the gaunt face, staring out from black and white photographs. We call him the father of the atomic bomb. We see him as the ultimate American hero who ended World War II. Or we see him as the ultimate villain who handed humanity a loaded gun and told us to point it at our own heads. But the truth is a paradox. He was a pacifist who built the ultimate weapon. He was a communist sympathizer who led the American military's biggest secret. He was a gentle lover of poetry and art who gave politicians the power to incinerate cities in a heartbeat. We look at the mushroom cloud, but we rarely look at the man standing in its shadow. We don't see the panic attacks. We don't see the women he loved and destroyed. We don't see the FBI agents tracking his every move. He was a man who tried to be God, only to realize he was just a human, fragile and flawed. This video is not just about how to split an atom. You can find that in a textbook. This is a story about the cost of genius. It is the modern retelling of the myth of Prometheus. Prometheus stole fire from the gods to give to mankind, and for his crime, he was chained to a rock and tortured for eternity. Oppenheimer gave us the nuclear fire, and his punishment was to watch us use it. Over the next hour, we are going to dissect the mind of the most important human being who ever lived. Yes, the most important, because before him, humanity could kill each other. After him, humanity could erase itself. We will see how a brilliant, sensitive boy became the destroyer of worlds, and how the country he served eventually destroyed him. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. The year is 1939. Europe is burning. Hitler's armies are marching across Poland. The world is plunging into a darkness it has never seen before. But in the quiet university halls of Berkeley, California, a theoretical physicist is writing equations on a chalkboard. He doesn't know it yet, but he is in a race. The Nazis are building a weapon. If they get it first, freedom is over. If America gets it first, the war ends, but a new era of terror begins. This man is about to be asked to do the impossible, to gather the greatest minds on the planet, move them to a secret city in the middle of nowhere, and build a sun on Earth. This is the story of Robert Oppenheimer. Let's turn the page to Chapter 1. Act 1. The Boy Who Reads Sanskrit. Robert Oppenheimer was born into a world of velvet and silence. New York City, 1904. His family didn't just have money. They had taste. They lived in an apartment overlooking the Hudson River, filled with original paintings by Van Gogh and Picasso. Robert didn't play baseball in the streets. He played with minerals. He wrote poetry. He learned Greek and Latin just to read the classics. He was a fragile, beautiful boy with eyes as blue as ice. But he was suffocating. He was too smart for his own good. At age 12, he was debating geology with adults who thought he was a professor. But ask him to talk to a girl or throw a ball, and he would freeze. He wrote a letter to a friend confessing, "I repay my father by writing poems and creating crystals. But I am the loneliest boy in the world." He was a mind floating without a body. He lived in the abstract. And when he finally left the safety of his home for Harvard, and then Cambridge in England, that abstract world crashed into reality. Cambridge University, 1925. This is the moment where the story almost ended. Robert is 21 years old. He is supposed to be working in a lab under Patrick Blackett, a brilliant experimental physicist. But Robert is clumsy. He breaks equipment. He can't solder wires. He is a theoretical genius, but a practical disaster. Blackett is tough on him. He pushes Robert. He humiliates him in front of others. Inside Robert's mind, something snaps. The pressure of failure, the loneliness, the jealousy of Blackett's competence. It turns into a toxic stew. One afternoon, driven by a madness he couldn't explain, Robert takes an apple from Blackett's desk. He injects it with laboratory chemicals. Cyanide. Maybe something toxic. Definitely. He leaves the apple on the desk, a lethal trap for his tutor. He walks away, but as the adrenaline fades, the horror sets in. He realizes what he has done. He hasn't just played a prank. He has attempted murder. Luckily, Blackett didn't eat the apple, but the university found out. Robert was dragged before the disciplinary board. He faced expulsion. He faced prison. His wealthy father had to rush from New York to pull strings, and begged the university not to press charges. They agreed on one condition: Robert had to see a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist's diagnosis was brutal: dementia praecox. Today, we might call it severe depression or schizophrenia. They said he was a hopeless case. Robert fell into a deep abyss. He traveled to Corsica with friends but spent days staring at the ground. He would suddenly moan in pain and curl up on the floor. He tried to strangle his best friend, Francis Ferguson, with a luggage strap in a sudden fit of rage. The genius was broken. The mind that could understand the quantum universe could not understand itself. He later said, "I was on the point of bumping myself off. This was a chronic matter." He was standing on the edge of a cliff, one step forward, and there would be no atomic bomb, no victory in World War II, just a forgotten obituary of a rich boy who went mad. So, how did he survive? How did the poisoner become the leader? He didn't find the answer in a physics textbook. He found it in literature. During his darkest days, Robert read In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust. He read about memory, about the complexity of the human heart, about the suffering that is inherent in being alive. He realized a profound truth: intellect is not wisdom. You can be smart enough to split the atom, but still be stupid enough to poison an apple. Robert realized his emotional maturity was lagging miles behind his intellectual maturity. The lesson for us here is critical. We often worship high IQ. We chase grades and degrees, but raw intelligence without emotional stability is a dangerous weapon without a safety catch. Oppenheimer learned that to survive, he had to embrace the humanities. He learned Sanskrit to read the Bhagavad Gita. He learned that pain is part of duty. He rebuilt himself, not as a scientist, but as a humanist who happened to do physics. This was the transformation that saved him. He stopped trying to be a lab rat and started becoming a leader of men. He left the lab equipment behind and moved to Göttingen, Germany, to focus on theory. And there, finally, he bloomed. 1942. The world is burning. General Leslie Groves, a man built like a tank, needs a scientist to build the ultimate weapon. He looks at the roster of Nobel Prize winners. He ignores them all. Instead, he picks Robert Oppenheimer, a man with no Nobel Prize, a man with communist friends, a man who couldn't even run a hamburger stand, let alone a secret city. Why? Because Groves saw something in Oppenheimer's eyes: arrogance, ambition, a suppressed vanity. Groves knew that Oppenheimer wanted to be great more than he wanted to be safe. And so, Oppie transformed. He put on the pork pie hat. He lit the pipe. He stopped being the awkward professor and became the director. He built Los Alamos from nothing on a flat mesa in New Mexico, a place he loved since he was a boy. He gathered the greatest minds in history: Fermi, Bohr, Feynman. He was the conductor of an orchestra of geniuses. He was charismatic, tireless, and brilliant. For a brief moment, he was the king of his own private kingdom. But inside the kingdom, they weren't building a cathedral. They were building a coffin for the world. As the project advanced, the pressure became crushing. The Germans were ahead. Every day meant thousands of dead soldiers. Oppenheimer began to shrink physically. He weighed 115 pounds. He smoked 4 packs of Chesterfields a day. His cough hacked through the thin walls of the barracks. But the real sickness was in his soul. He began to justify the weapon. He told himself and his scientists a dangerous lie. We are just doing the physics. The politicians will decide how to use it. If we build it, we will end all wars forever. It was a seductive lie. It allowed them to sleep at night. They focused on the sweetness of the technical problem, how to implode a plutonium core so they wouldn't have to think about the burning flesh it would cause. Oppenheimer became the master of compartmentalization. He locked his humanity in a box and threw away the key, all in the name of duty. July 16, 1945. The moment of truth. The bomb gadget hangs from a 100-foot steel tower. The rain lashes down. Oppenheimer is at the bunker, chain-smoking, reading Baudelaire poetry to calm his nerves. The countdown begins. It is the longest minute in human history. If it fails, he is a failure. If it works, he is a monster. At 5 hours, 29 minutes, and 45 seconds, silence. First, the light. A light not of this world. A light that cuts through your eyelids, through your hands covering your face. It turns the night into a blinding, colorless noon. Then, the heat, like opening an oven door in the face of God. Then, the sound, a roar that doesn't just break eardrums, it breaks the sky. As the mushroom cloud rose 40,000 feet into the air, dancing with purple and violet ionization, Oppenheimer's face went slack. A fellow general turned to him and said, "Now we are all sons of bitches." Oppenheimer didn't smile. In that violet light, the general of physics died. The destroyer of worlds was born. He knew, with terrifying clarity, that the world would never be the same. He had let the genie out of the bottle, and it was hungry. 3 weeks later, Hiroshima, then Nagasaki. Oppenheimer didn't drop the bomb. He didn't fly the plane. But when the reports came in of people vaporized, of shadows burned into concrete, of skin hanging like rags, he felt the weight of every single death. On the night of the victory celebration at Los Alamos, the scientists were cheering. They popped champagne. They carried Oppenheimer on their shoulders. But Oppenheimer walked onto the stage, and he hallucinated. As he looked at the cheering crowd, he didn't see happy faces. He saw skin peeling off. He saw the room filled with a white, blinding flash. He walked home that night and found a turtle overturned on the path. He flipped it over and wept. The man who incinerated 2 cities was crying over a turtle. The compartmentalization had shattered. The box was open, and the ghosts were pouring out. October 1945. Oppenheimer meets President Harry Truman in the Oval Office. Oppenheimer thinks he is there as a partner, a moral guide. He thinks because he built the bomb, he has a right to control it. He wants to ban nuclear weapons. He wants to tell the president that we must stop. He looks at Truman, wrings his hands, and whispers, "Mr. President, I feel I have blood on my hands." Truman is disgusted. He pulls a handkerchief from his pocket and offers it to him. "Well, here, would you like to wipe them?" After Oppenheimer leaves, Truman turns to his aide and says, "Don't let that crybaby in here again." This was the moment of absolute defeat. Oppenheimer realized his second tragedy. He wasn't Prometheus. He was just the blacksmith. He had forged the sword, but the king held the handle, and the king didn't care about his feelings. Why did Oppenheimer break? Because he committed the sin of hubris. He believed that because he understood the science, he could control the consequence. He thought he could build a device of pure death and still remain a moral man. He thought he could hand a loaded gun to politicians and then politely ask them not to shoot. The lesson for us is terrifying. Creation is irreversible. Once you create a technology, whether it is AI, social media algorithms, or a nuclear bomb, it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the world, and the world is not kind. Oppenheimer's tragedy teaches us that. Can we do it? Is the easy question. Should we do it? Is the question that haunts you forever. He learned too late that you cannot be both the savior and the destroyer. You have to pick a side, and he had picked the wrong one. The war was over. Oppenheimer was a national hero. His face was on the cover of Time magazine. He was the most famous scientist since Einstein. But as the Cold War froze the world, the government wanted a new weapon. A weapon 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. The hydrogen bomb. The super. Edward Teller, a scientist with a hunger for destruction, wanted to build it. The military wanted to build it. But Oppenheimer stood up and said no. He argued that this weapon had no military purpose. It was only for genocide. He said that if we build it, the Soviets will build it, and we will be like 2 scorpions in a bottle, each capable of killing the other, but only at the risk of our own lives. He became the conscience of America. But Washington didn't want a conscience. They wanted a weapon. And so, the hero became the enemy. 1954. The Empire Strikes Back. Louis Strauss, a powerful politician who hated Oppenheimer, orchestrated a secret security hearing. It was a kangaroo court. They dug up his past. They used his old communist girlfriend against him. They bugged his house. They tapped his phone. For 4 weeks, in a small, stifling room labeled 2022. J. Robert Oppenheimer was stripped naked, metaphorically. They didn't just attack his loyalty. They attacked his life. They called him a fool. They called him a liar. And here is the moment that breaks your heart. Oppenheimer didn't fight back like a tiger. He sat there, slumped in his chair, smoking chain after chain. When they asked him why he lied to security officers years ago, he simply whispered, "Because I was an idiot." He accepted the humiliation. It was as if he believed he deserved it. Not for being a spy he never was, but for the sin of Hiroshima. He let them tear him apart as penance for the bomb. They took his security clearance. They humiliated him publicly. The father of the atomic bomb was exiled from the very house he built. Broken and humiliated, Oppenheimer retreated. He left the corridors of power and went to the smallest island he could find, St. John in the Virgin Islands. There, he built a small, simple house on the beach. No phone, no secrets, no generals. The man who held the power of the sun in his hands now spent his days sailing a small boat named Trinity. He swam in the blue water. He wrote poetry again. Locals didn't know he was the destroyer of worlds. They just knew him as the quiet, skinny man with the sad blue eyes who threw great beach parties. In the end, he found peace not in the atom, but in the ocean. He realized that science had no answer for the human soul. Only nature did. In 1963, just a few years before his death from throat cancer, the government tried to apologize. President Lyndon Johnson gave him the Enrico Fermi Award. Old, frail, and dying, Oppenheimer accepted it. He looked at the politicians and said simply, "I think it is just possible, Mr. President, that it has taken some charity and some courage for you to make this award today." He died in 1967. His ashes were scattered into the sea off St. John. So, what is his legacy? Is it the weapon? No. Weapons rust. Fear fades. His legacy is the warning. Oppenheimer was the first human to look into the abyss of extinction and scream, "Stop." He sacrificed his reputation to warn us that technology without wisdom is suicide. The final lesson of J. Robert Oppenheimer is about moral courage. It is easy to be a hero when everyone applauds you. It is incredibly hard to be a hero when you have to tell the people applauding you that they are wrong. Oppenheimer teaches us that it is never too late to develop a conscience. It is never too late to say I was wrong. He showed us that true success isn't about how powerful you become, but about what you do with that power when the world isn't watching. He gave us the fire, but he also gave us the manual on how not to burn ourselves. And for the last 80 years, because of his warning, we haven't pushed the button. That silence, the silence of the bombs not falling, is his true monument. We have walked along dark road with J. Robert Oppenheimer. From the glass castle of his childhood to the blinding light of the Trinity Test. And finally, to the quiet beach of St. John. If we look back at the tapestry of his life, a complete philosophy emerges. First, the poisoned apple taught us that intellect is not wisdom. Being the smartest person in the room means nothing if you do not have the emotional stability to handle the world. Second, the mushroom cloud taught us the danger of hubris. We saw that science without conscience is just a well-organized way to commit suicide. We learned that can we do it is a scientific question, but should we do it is a human one. And finally, his exile taught us the power of moral courage. Oppenheimer proved that a man can build a monster and then spend the rest of his life trying to chain it up. He showed us that redemption isn't about erasing the past. It's about warning the future. He was a man of contradictions, a creator and a destroyer, a villain and a victim. But ultimately, he was human, just like us. To everyone watching this, especially the young scientists, the coders, the creators of the next generation, we are living in the Oppenheimer moment of our time. Right now, we are building artificial intelligence. We are editing genomes. We are changing the climate. We are playing with fire, just like he did. The ghost of Oppenheimer is standing in your lab, in your coding room, looking over your shoulder. He is whispering a warning. Don't get so lost in the beauty of the puzzle that you forget the people who have to live with the solution. You have the power to be Prometheus. But remember, Prometheus got burned. Be brave enough to ask the hard questions before you push the button. Be brave enough to say no. Now, I turn the question to you. History calls him the destroyer of worlds, but others call him the man who ended the war and saved millions of lives. What is your verdict? Was J. Robert Oppenheimer a hero who did what was necessary, or a villain who opened Pandora's box? I want to see your debate in the comments below. I read every single one. If this journey into the mind of the atomic age sparked something in you, please hit that like button. It helps us share these stories with the world. And if you want to understand the other side of genius, the side that builds rather than destroys, you have to watch our next episode on Leonardo da Vinci. Click right here to see how art and science can actually save the world. I'm your name. Stay curious, but stay wise. I'll see you in the next chapter of history.